everyone, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So I want to show you some of my Exterminator setups in this game. These Warframe builds and synergies are those that have insane kill speed, perfect for every mission in the game. The first one might not be popular with the community, but I just love how a Merlina Guardian Yearly can clear a room full of enemies in a matter of seconds. The Merlina Guardian is a blessing to the Warframe, and while there's a new augment called Loyal Merlina also that fixes all the annoying parts of riding the Warframe's second ability, still I prefer using the former as it's way better in my opinion. The heal on Merlina per enemy kill while affected by sea snares and the reload speed and fire rate for secondary buffs are just a blessing for the Warframe, and it makes it easier to kill enemies and just ride with the wave while using either the Kuvanu core or the Sentient Surge Alku core. With the increased fire rate and reload speed, you'll be spraying enemies in the mission constantly, and it's a super fun combo to use, especially if you are speedrunning missions such as Steel Path Exterminate. The next one is a Fuse Reservoir Wisp Prime with Nourish as a subsumed ability. This will pair well with the Incarnate Torrid as the haste mote will increase its fire rate and reload speed. The action speed increase also helps you and your allies move faster in the mission. Aside from that, the healing motes give you enough health and healing to survive, and the electric motes provide electric procs to crowd control, and as well as give extra status proc for galvanized status setup. You see, the Incarnate Torrid is on top of the food chain now because it's not just a weapon that kills Steel Path trash mobs, but it's also useful against Acolytes, Eximus units, and even Necromech units in the Whispers in the Walls update. Its versatility and damage make it a very popular weapon, and on top of that, the gun is very efficient in terms of its ammo economy. The normal shot is only used for stacking Incarnate charges, and it's not like other evolving weapons that require headshots to stack up Incarnate charges. Hitting any parts of the enemies with the normal form will charge the Incarnate, and you can use its evolved form frequently in the mission. With high critical chance, damage, and the galvanized mods, the Incarnate Torrid gets crazy good with the fire rate buff of Wisp. Before we proceed to the next Warframe, I would also like to add another tip on modding the Torrid. In the bounty mission in Sanctum Anatomica, there is a side objective that tasks you to destroy weak spots of Culverin. The Incarnate Torrid or any beam weapons modded with Shred or its Prime variant seems to be very effective in completing this side objective. Hence I have the Prime Shred added in my build. It also increases the fire rate of the weapon, so giving it more boost in its total DPS. This is also applicable to the next Warframe named Gauss Prime. The same as Wisp Prime, Gauss can increase the lethality of Incarnate Torrid through his fire rate on his red line ability. The more duration you put into your Warframe, the higher the fire rate buff. This build also has good survivability with kinetic plating, quick thinking, adaptation, and the Molt Reconstruct Arcane that grants health regen after casting any ability. If you don't like the Weapon Master build, then you can go with the Nuker Thermal Sunder build for Gauss Prime that can also clear a room easily. This build will be special during the Jade Shadows update as the blast damage will be reworked, and it will have some explosive effects that damage nearby enemies after you kill or afflicted a max stack of blast status on it. But if I were to choose between the two builds, I would stick to the Weapon Master with the Incarnate Torrid as it's more reliable in Steel Path and beyond levels. Thermal Sunder Nuke is good in real mission, but it's not great in killing Demolish units such as those Necromech in the Entrati Lab tile set. Moving on, we got Chroma. This is the most simple kill combo I have in my arsenal right now. Mod the Warframe with max duration and power strength, then just give him a gun like the Incarnate Torrid and kill everything in sight. Players may see the build as kind of selfish because of the low range, but I think it's better to max out duration and strength than put a range mod to add a couple of meters to his Vex armor. If only the Vex armor buff is shared through affinity range, then it would be a good damage support, but I guess that will be broken, and a selfish Chroma build is good enough for me if it contributes to killing speed on the team. Another Warframe that I am using most often is Saren. It's obvious why this old Warframe is still meta, as the Warframe just makes all weapons deadly. Saren got an ability that grants toxin damage to her weapons, and this doesn't combine with other elements. She also got her Spores ability that spread corrosive and damage enemies, and every time you hit an enemy affected by spores while Toxic Lash is active, it spreads to other enemies in the area. Her toxin also pairs well with faction mods and elemental mods, and it triple dipped the damage dealt to enemies. The good thing about Saren too is that it doesn't matter if you are using a gun or a melee weapon, as you will be spreading corrosive and toxin when you mod your weapons well. In fact, a melee Saren is powerful enough that she don't need any range weapons like the Incarnate Torrid. This is because we have the melee influence arcane that spread the toxin damage and whatever element you have in your melee weapon. It gets even better if you have an incarnate dual ichor in hands that also spawn toxin clouds after killing an enemy. There's a trick right now to activate the spread effect of melee influence without modding for electricity in your melee weapon, and that is to use the Doriga Sentinel and equip its Electro Pulse precept. Pair this mod with the Manifold Bond, and every time you kill enough Eximus, it resets the cooldown of Electro Pulse, giving you more chance of activating the spread effect of melee influence. With this, you can mod for any elemental combo in your melee weapon, and in my case, I can go with Gas and Cold in my Incarnate Dual Ichor, since I have Viral from the Nourish ability, Corrosive from the Venom Dose Augment of Saren, and then Toxin from the Toxic Lash skill of the Warframe. This elemental combination is very lethal, even against Steel Path and Beyond enemies. In the upcoming Jade Shadows update, I will try if Blast will be a good thing with Saren. By the way, I always aim for 2 Emerald Archon Shards in my build for the full armor strip, which increases the lethality of those elements like Viral and Heat. Full armor strip right now is dominant, but in the upcoming update, Digital Extremes said that they'll be capping the armor of enemies, and based from what I have understand, they are making partial armor strip do more damage. Hence, I'll be trying 1 Tau forged version of an Emerald Archon Shard in the Jade Shadows update so I can have 13 stacks of Corrosive, which doesn't remove all the armor of enemies. This will give Corrosive more damage, and I'll be comparing if it will be better compared to the full armor strip with 2 Emerald Archon Shard. Another Warframe that I am using is Mesa Prime. It's pretty obvious because this Warframe is an aimbot, and she can destroy enemies using her Peacemaker with the right build. The Warframe also has decent survivability with her Shatter Shield skill and right now with the help of Secondary Outburst, paired with lots of initial combo with the help of Incarnate Ceramic Dagger, and finally the Topaz Archon Shard that gives more critical chance. Mesa Prime can do red crit numbers with her Peacemaker. It becomes lethal with the Emerald Archon Shard stripping armor, then paired with the Nourish setup that grants Viral. In the upcoming Jade Shadows update, it will also be good to try out a Corrosive and Cold combination. The 12 stack of Corrosive will deal more damage, while Cold will increase the critical damage dealt by Peacemaker. And finally, I would like to talk about the broken Warframe Saku. This Warframe is also an aimbot because of its Grasp of Loc ability that allows you to fire void weapons that does void damage. This Warframe also has armor and shield stripping, allowing the void damage to deal massive damage to enemy health, and you can pair it with a primer weapon to deal viral damage and increase your overall damage. Their ultimate ability also applies void damage increased debuff to enemies, elevating your overall damage output. And finally, Nourish is great for this Warframe as it provides insane energy regeneration so that the Warframe can spam their abilities. Not to mention that it also imbues Viral to your primer gun, and this allows you to give your weapon corrosive status for armor strip. Right now, my Archon Shards for this Warframe is a mess. I really don't need the red Archon Shard as my power strength through modding is enough to get the 100% defense strip of Gaze. What I needed here is 2 Tau forged version of blue Archon Shard for energy, 1 Tau forged version of yellow Shard for casting speed, and 2 Emerald Archon Shard for 100% armor strip. This Warframe is lethal when armor and shields are stripped with Gaze, but this ability is usually effective in endless missions. In missions wherein you are required to move constantly like Exterminate, it's better to use a primer gun such as the QV Nucor with innate magnetic and modded for corrosive and other elements to both strip the shield and armor of enemies. The general gameplay is casting your Grasp of Loc and maintaining it with your 4th ability while inflicting the void damage debuff as well. Then just shoot the QV Nucor to strip the armor and shield of enemies with corrosive and magnetic respectively. There will be a chance that the QV Nucor can kill enemies, or they get killed by the void damage from Grasp of Loc, and you can do this while being mobile in a mission. So there you have it. These are the Warframes I am usually using in missions to kill enemies fast. Take note that these are my personal choices, and if you have something to share, then feel free to share it in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you again in our next video. Squad Leader, signing off.